In the heart of Delhi, a place where life bustles and families are bound by tradition, there lies a quiet, inconspicuous home that now holds a dark story. Inside this home lived 86-year-old Hasi Mukherjee, a woman cherished by her family, a matriarch who had spent her life raising her children. But her long life, filled with love and resilience, would come to a gruesome end, not at the hands of a stranger, but through the actions of someone she trusted deeply. It's hard to imagine how relationships so close, bound by love, could spiral into such tragedy. Today, we uncover the story of Hasi Mukherjee, a mother who raised her family with everything she had, only to be betrayed by her own daughter-in-law, Priyanka. What drove this woman, a devoted wife and mother, to become a killer? After years of solitude in Kolkata, Hasi Mukherjee found a new chapter in life when her son, Rajat, brought her to Delhi. Aware of his mother's growing frailty, he wanted her close, so he rented a cozy flat for her, right across from his own. It was a decision rooted in love, an effort to fill her days with comfort and connection. Rajat wanted to give her not only proximity, but a sense of security. He carefully furnished her flat and checked on her regularly, reminding her she wasn't alone. She felt a bittersweet warmth. Delhi wasn't Kolkata, but having her son close gave her strength. The bustling city, once foreign and noisy, now began to feel like home because of him. To ensure her well-being, Rajat even installed a CCTV camera in her room, linking it directly to his phone so he could monitor her health and routine. It was a small gesture with a big meaning, proof of his devotion, his desire to be there for her every day in every way possible. Hasi couldn't have known it then, but these final days in her new home would reveal both the best of her son's love and the darkest of human nature, hidden just a room away. Hasi Mukherjee had always prided herself on her independence. Even as her body began to slow with age, she cherished her routines, her solitude, and the quiet strength she had carried through life. But arthritis, her unrelenting companion, was beginning to steal small freedoms. Steps became painful, simple tasks exhausting. Moving to Delhi, in a home close to her son, seemed like a peaceful respite, a chance to rest. Yet, within these new walls, peace was elusive. Shadows of unspoken tension crept into her life. She sensed it in the way certain looks lingered a little too long, or in the heavy silences that filled her home at odd hours. Though Hasi tried to brush off her unease, a dark foreboding slowly took root, a silent warning hidden within the routines of daily life, hinting that all was not well in this supposed haven. Priyanka was a modern woman thrust into the role of a traditional daughter-in-law. Day after day, she cooked, cleaned, and cared for everyone around her. And yet, as the years passed, she felt her identity slipping away. She had dreams and ambitions once, but over time, they were buried beneath endless chores and family expectations. Priyanka Sen was reportedly frustrated with the responsibility of caring for her elderly mother-in-law, Hasi Mukherjee. The strain of handling the duties of a caretaker, compounded by personal tensions and unresolved issues, contributed to growing resentment. These emotions seemed to fester and build, creating an environment of hidden strain and animosity within the family. She felt invisible, unheard, and even trapped. Friends drifted away, her dreams lay abandoned, and resentment began to take root, its tendrils wrapping tighter around her with each passing day. Priyanka's world became one of duty and silence, where her inner turmoil was never spoken of, her struggles hidden behind a mask of composure. The morning of April 28, 2024 was an ordinary morning in appearance, but the silence was thick with tension. Rajat's wife, Priyanka, moved through her tasks, seemingly absorbed in the routine of the day, while across the hallway, Hasi began her morning alone in her flat. Though there was calm on the surface, an undercurrent of frustration had quietly woven itself into the fabric of the household over the years. The dynamics between Priyanka and her mother-in-law were complex, layered with the wear of daily strain and suppressed resentment, an invisible storm waiting for the slightest spark to ignite. On the morning of April 28th, a concerned individual contacted the police, reporting that his friend's mother, Hasi Mukherjee, had fallen in her flat and was severely injured, bleeding from multiple wounds. The call conveyed an urgent tone, suggesting the fall was serious and required immediate attention. When the police arrived at Hasi Mukherjee's flat, they found her lying lifeless on the kitchen floor, her face and skull bearing numerous injuries, a stark contrast to the assumption of a mere accident. Blood pooled beneath her, and the severity of her wounds hinted at a brutal, deliberate attack rather than an accidental fall. Rajat, her son, explained that Hasi had been dealing with arthritis for years, which often made walking difficult. However, the injuries did not align with a typical fall, sparking immediate suspicion and raising questions that called for further investigation. As officers meticulously searched Hasi's flat, their eyes were drawn to a CCTV camera mounted in her bedroom, which might have captured any unusual activity. However, they quickly noticed that the memory card was missing, a troubling detail that hinted at possible foul play. When questioned, Rajat explained that he typically monitored his mother's movements remotely, keeping an eye on her well-being due to her frail condition. But he noted, almost apologetically, that the camera hadn't been functioning that day, supposedly due to a power cut, which he claimed had rendered it inactive at the critical time. This revelation only deepened the police's suspicions, adding a mysterious layer to what initially appeared to be a tragic accident. At first, no one suspected Priyanka. The tragedy seemed like a terrible accident, an elderly woman's fall, her frailty the likely cause. But as detectives delved deeper into the investigation, Rajat began to feel a growing unease gnawing at him. He replayed countless moments in his mind, moments he had once brushed off. The sharp exchanges between his wife and his mother, the cold tension that simmered whenever Priyanka spoke of Hasi's presence in their home, those subtle but unmistakable signs he had ignored, too focused on his desire for peace. He couldn't forget the look in his wife's eyes when she spoke about his mother, a glance that seemed filled with resentment and something darker, something more dangerous. The unease that had once seemed like mere discomfort now felt like a warning he had failed to see. Could it be that his own wife had been harboring such deep animosity, such a dark secret, right under his nose? The question haunted him as the truth began to reveal itself piece by piece. The investigation took a shocking turn after doctors at AIMS performed an autopsy on Hasi. Their analysis revealed that her injuries were inconsistent with those from a simple fall. These injuries showed signs of intentional impact, prompting doctors to alert the police and urge a more thorough investigation. This new development shifted the case's focus, and detectives were compelled to dig deeper, examining the possibility of foul play and looking more closely at the relationships and tensions within Hasi's family. Rajat's daughter finally broke her silence, unveiling the deep-seated tension between her mother, Priyanka, and her grandmother, Hasi. Priyanka's frustration had been simmering for months, but few knew how severe it had become. Small disagreements and bitter exchanges had slowly fractured any bond they might have shared, growing into resentment that cast a shadow over the household. It was this tension, this relentless, hidden conflict, that would later become a crucial element in the investigation. Rajat, after a moment's hesitation, confirmed the unspoken tensions that had plagued the household. He acknowledged the constant friction between his wife, Priyanka, and his mother, Hasi, a discord that often went unnoticed or dismissed as minor bickering. But on the day of the incident, there was no one in the flat but Priyanka and Hasi. The realization weighed heavily, raising suspicions that transformed simple family strain into something darker. This isolation of the two women on that particular morning would soon become a focal point in the unfolding investigation. Rajat, weighed down by questions and suspicions, handed the missing memory card from the CCTV camera over to the police. The footage, now under investigation, unveiled a chilling sequence of events. It captured Priyanka entering Hasi's flat with a frying pan, heading into the kitchen just before Hasi's cries were heard. The visual evidence left no question of foul play, exposing the dark reality of what had transpired. At exactly 10:30 a.m., CCTV footage captured Priyanka entering Hasi's flat, clutching a frying pan with purposeful, almost tense movements. Her face was etched with an intensity that hinted at the simmering resentment within. Moments later, she slipped into the kitchen, vanishing from the camera's view. Silence hung ominously, broken only by faint, desperate cries. Watching this unfold, Rajat was engulfed in a storm of emotions: anger, betrayal, and profound sorrow as the dark truth of that morning fully came into focus. The post-mortem report confirmed that Hasi's injuries weren't consistent with a simple fall. They were clearly the result of deliberate, premeditated blows, as evidenced by the 14 brutal injuries scattered across her frail body. This revelation added gravity to the case. Rajat's testimony, combined with the haunting CCTV footage and the forensic conclusions, painted an undeniable picture. As the evidence mounted, Rajat's testimony, the CCTV footage, and the damning post-mortem report, Priyanka's resolve began to crumble. In a moment of crushing despair, she broke down. Her stoic facade shattered as she confessed to the police, detailing the rage and frustration that had been building over months of caring for Hasi. Priyanka's confession revealed deep-rooted resentment toward her mother-in-law, Hasi. She felt years of neglect and belittlement, with Rajat seemingly always prioritizing his mother over their marriage. Priyanka perceived Hasi's arrival as an invasion, reigniting old wounds and negative memories. Every glance from Hasi, every word, reminded her of moments where she felt unseen and dismissed by her husband. This bitterness festered, and Priyanka began to see Hasi not just as a relative, but as a figure responsible for the fractures in her life and marriage. Priyanka admitted she'd entered Hasi's flat, her frustrations and bitterness fueling a desire to put an end to years of resentment. She took a pan from her own kitchen, and when she saw her mother-in-law alone, her anger led her to strike hard, and the act, so final and decisive, left no chance for reconciliation or regret. In that instant, her years of pent-up frustration found a tragic, irreversible outlet, forever altering their family. Her hard mask she had worn for so long shattered as she was confronted with the truth. Her guilt was undeniable. The anger that had built up over years of resentment toward Hasi, combined with her own personal frustrations, flooded out in a confession. Priyanka admitted to the crime, her voice trembling, and the once cold, determined woman was left broken, now facing the consequences of her irreversible actions. The family was ripped apart. Rajat, shattered by his wife's betrayal and his mother's loss, was left to pick up the pieces. Hasi's love, once a source of comfort, now felt like a cruel reminder of what he had lost. Priyanka's actions had irrevocably broken them. This wasn't just a crime, it was a betrayal of the sacred bond. If you want to hear more gripping tales like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Like to support the channel further and help us create even more in-depth content, consider donating through the link in the description.